Hello everyone, welcome back to more coding, because everybody was so interested. Okay, this is a horrible intro, because I'm immediately pausing whatever I'm doing to go look to see how many people actually watched the video. But people said they were kind of interested, so, you know, I'm trusting them on that. Actually, got a lot of views. I wonder how many were just from me going back and answering questions. But anyways, welcome back to our breakout. Hopefully we'll be able to get further today. And who knows, depending upon how quickly we go, maybe we'll start a second crappy mini game or something. Or maybe we're going to flesh this out and have dialogues and everything, and it will be super cool. We'll see. Okay. So last time when we talked about it, we have some information that we need to show and need to keep track of. Now, Blue talked to us about scriptable objects, which I have not gone and researched at all, so I have no idea what I'm doing there. Then we also divided the arena. We're going to lump things together as everything that's in the arena, which is going to be the walls, the paddle, the ball, and any bricks that we want to kill. Also, this nice little death trigger. That's going to handle all of that. And then we have different modes. We want a pop-up dialogue that pops up and says, hey, to go or to start playing, click this button, hit a button, press space, whatever we want to do. If you die, that's going to pop up. If you load up the game, that's going to pop up, and it's just going to be pretty simple. And then we'll also want to display a help screen. I don't know if we care about doing this. This is a question mark. But one of the other things we want to do is be able to, in the arena, we want to be able to show lives and show points. So that's what we're going to do. So we've got walls, paddle. If Notepad++ has a nice way to strike things through, I would do it. But actually, I don't know about this. So we're going to go like check. That's our way of saying check. We have our walls. We have our paddle. The paddle goes back and forth. We did run into a weird issue where moving the paddle, it was just moving the paddle. We had a gap on the left side and we overshot it on the right, so there's a little bit of code weirdness there. The ball is pretty much done. Let's see what happens if we click play. Kills the block and it resets if you die. Okay. So that's pretty much good. When we die, we want to reset the position. We don't want to reset the velocity though until somebody clicks play. You wrote code today. You suck at it. What kind of code did you write today, Red? That is very interesting. So I think for right now, I'm going to do one level where I just put a bunch of these bricks, copy paste, and then move them all over. Unless there's interest in me doing the dynamic creation of the bricks, in which case I can pull the code that I worked on before and we can modify it to work with this new environment. Show in folder, please. Now I have access to all of my other crap. Assets. I don't even know what language it was. The software engineer helped me write something in MATLAB. Well, that's MATLAB scripting. That's the language, is MATLAB. Oh, I have done that before, and I'm not a mathematician, so I'm not a big fan of it. Okay. Hey. I have slightly low blood sugar, which you can't see. That's why I'm allowed to eat M&Ms. I have to. Okay, so we have the ball, we have the paddle, we have the death. Let's go ahead and make our scene. We'll make 10 blocks, okay? Okay, and then we're going to put in this mode so we can move things around. I'm thinking a simple 3-2-3-2 as the initial way to go. Just get something on the board, Look, we'll actually even care about trying to get them somewhat lined up. See, what I did last time is I went and put these in the position, figured out how many times it could go into that spot in the arena, found the padding, and then did the calculations to say, okay, I can fit so many blocks in there, so I'm just going to nestle them right next to each other. And I did it all programmatically. But we're not going to do that today. We're just going to throw some things up so we have something to look at and play with. Until Blue can come on and tell me how to deal with the UI elements. Okay, there we go. We have our 10 bricks. Yay! You didn't even know that. That's okay. The question is, did you really need to know that? Do you have to write in MATLAB again? Yes, I'm sure I want to exit that. Okay. So I'm going to put blocks done here. Each block consists of a brick script, which if we look here, it has HP1 and brick value here. So on the collision, we're going to minus the health. And if that gets to 0, then we're going to turn it off. The one thing we want to do now is we want to get a... Well, is there something else I can do? What's on our list of things to do? Ball. Well, the ball is pretty much done for what it needs to do. We can show lives. Let's go ahead and get a scriptable object and learn more about those. Yeah, look at that. We already don't even know what we're doing. Playable behavior script. I am sweating like crazy. Thanks for asking, by the way, Red. Basically what's happened is that what was I doing? Oh, so I put all the drywall on the ceiling in the basement. Just can't see. Did all the drywall. And then the last bit of drywall that I had to do was in our storage room. And so I have... Oh, this is just going to annoy me. There we go. Oh, so much better. I'm not disappearing. So I moved everything out of our food storage, our storage room, so I could put drywall on the ceiling. And I didn't want to move all of the food back. And so I was talking to my wife about it. And she's like, let's just put up all the drywall in the room, and then we'll do all the taping and the mudding and the painting, and we'll just completely finish it, put everything back, and then you can finish it. So I do still have, as you can see over here, unfinished basement where I still need to drywall. So anyways, I finally got all that done, all the painting done last week, the 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of paint, and we just moved all that stuff back. So it was heavy. I'm sweaty. I have tons of drinks, and it's probably not going to be enough. Plus, I'm, in the west where everything is hot, and so that's not helping. But I am in the basement, which is helping, so I'm doing okay. Other than that, life's just continuously going on. How about you, Red? Working hard. I hope that means you. And my camera royally sucks. But you know what? I am too cheap to go buy a new camera. Blue, let's get on BadNet. Because I need your help, sir. Blue has been offline for 7 days. Because my question to you, Blue, is we both got raises this week? Congratulations! We both, as in you and your wife, or you and Blue? By the way, congratulations, man. I found out about a week ago that I'm getting a raise this year, too. So, it's just a great time of year right now, apparently. Okay. Blue's here, but he's not. So we're going to do the scriptable objects. My wife and I got a 90-cent raise, and I got a 50% raise. Okay, your wife got a 90-cent raise. So she must be hourly and not salary. But hey, that's still pretty nice. And you got 50% a 50% raise. Either you were being paid really low, or you got a massive raise there, man. Holy cow. Congratulations. That is a lot. Like, even if you were on the low end of like 50K, which living in Colorado, I seriously doubt that. 50K would have been a 25K raise. Definitely underpaid for a while. Wow. That's a big raise. Congratulations, Red. Okay, Blue. I accepted the call, didn't I? Oh, I've got to hit a button, don't I? Oh, I've never learned my way around this new thing. Chats and groups. Blue, I apologize for being a complete moron and idiot. Although it does look like I'm trying to join. See? It's trying. It's trying real hard. Salary-wise, still probably the lowest amongst all you smart people. Maybe not after a 50% raise. That takes you up quite a bit. Okay, Blue, I'm going to exit this chat. Will you send me another invite? This is very exciting video, tell you what. Did it finally end? Okay. Hey, it joined for me finally.
Alright. What do you need help with?
Last time you blew my mind with the topic of a scriptable object. How do I make one?
Hello?
Can you not hear me?
Okay, I didn't hear anything you said.
Come on.
You said something before.
Yeah, you said something last week about a scriptable object. You teased me. And
yeah.
I'm not saying, how do you create a scriptable object? Is it just a normal game object, but you change what it inherits from?
So yeah, create a script, a normal script, and then instead of inheriting from mono behavior, you're going to inherit from scriptable object.
And what kind of things do I get from this? Create instance and set dirty. So we probably don't need this.
And then above that, above the public class, you have to do a bracket create asset menu.
Whoa, okay.
And then parenthesis. Oh, parentheses within the create asset menu. And then you should have autocomplete tell you what you need. It's like the file name and all that stuff. Okay, or not.
No, it's there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I just was
I
not.
don't know what the stream delay is right now.
It's like 4 or 5 seconds. What is the file name? Is this the name of the file that I am?
Okay, so the file name, yeah. So you do like new game info or whatever, right? Something like that. Just the generic start. And then the menu name is what the scriptable object would be called. So you'd probably have like game info or something like that. You know, whatever makes the most sense.
Uh-huh.
And then the order, that's going to be where it appears. So you know when you create an asset in you.
Yeah. If I click on something,
like,
look in the inspector window.
Asset and you have like all the lists. The order just tells it where to put that. Like which section.
Which section? Oh wait, no, because I was thinking layer.
So if you right click in assets.
Uh-huh.
And then yeah, create. Okay, so you know how you have all of those stuff?
Uh-huh.
Order literally just tells it where to put your scriptable.
In this
so, like,
menu?
whether it be top section or the bottom section.
Okay.
So you could start with something like 51.
These that order means nothing to me. Until I start seeing the game info start showing up somewhere,
Okay.
Nothing makes sense or means anything to me right now. Okay, why is it having a problem? String, int.
Yeah, okay, so in the create asset menu, do file name equals. So file name equals game info, and then...
What is this? JavaScript?
Yeah, and then menu name equals.
And then order equals.
Yeah. That should be fine with whatever.
Wait. So we have a function that says give me 3 parameters, and then you've got to name the parameter? That's just lazy.
Well, because you could go without the parameters.
Okay, so I have my game info in here. Where's this order? How is it showing up in here? Because isn't that what you were saying? It shows up the order that it appeared. Were you talking about this particular menu, or are you talking about like another?
I'm talking about that menu.
I don't see a game info.
Did you save?
Yes, sir. Oh, invalid token in class struct.
Oh yeah, it's because you have a floating serialized field.
Yeah, just blame it all on me. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Game info. So, what if I put it in 1? What is it going to do?
Say that again?
So I put game info in 1. So is there like an order of these lines that like each one is about 50?
Each little section is its own number.
Is it just each line is about 50 and so you can insert things in wherever you want them to be?
No. If you put it in the same number, it'll be in the same group.
Okay.
So you don't have to go by 50s. I just do 51 so that it's like at the very top.
Okay, so I have an info, and this is where we come back to, do we do a serialized field there?
Whatever variables you want to like throw in there, and then you can pass, so you can create an asset of that that'll have, you know, whatever variables set.
I guess we won't want to do it public.
And then you can pass that reference around. And then you can create all the functions and whatever in that scriptable object to handle like data. So when you pass the reference around, yeah, you'll just grab whatever information you need from that scriptable, if that makes sense.
Kind of. But we're going to walk through it because time for the hand holding. You need to set create asset menu to true. What? Red, what are you talking about?
I don't know. I think he's joining the conversation.
Red, do you know what you're doing in here? Score plus equals value. Let's see. We have a public void reset score. This is just going to be score equals 0. Are we going to have to do anything? We also want to keep track of lives. And that's pretty much the two things that I can think of right now that we want to keep track of. This should probably be something bigger than an int, but who cares right now? Public void death occurred. That's a horrible name, but deal with it. And then we do lives minus minus. And then public void reset lives. And this is going to be lives. Okay, so I've created an object that has some actions, some functions that should be able to keep state in my game. So you're telling me that my brick, when I die, I should be able to find that object, or do I need to create a reference to it and hold on to it locally?
So you'll have some sort of game state manager or whatever. Just plug that in as a reference. So in the game state manager or whatever script you're using to control that, you would have a variable brick script, right? And then you would just slot in your scriptable object into that.
Into this game info scriptable object?
But okay. So in this case, I'd say it wouldn't make sense to make that a scriptable object, because you could just have score lives and starting lives
in an empty game object?
Yeah, on a game object. Scriptable objects would make more sense for, like, say, your level.
These are just structs. Scriptable objects are just structs, is what you're saying.
Fancy structs. Yeah,
fancy.
You could go with that. Fancy structs.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'd make more sense for, like, your level setup. Like, maybe you have, like, because you could have a reference to a game object, and then, like, I don't know how you would want to place your bricks, but then maybe an array of vectors for the positions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you'd have an array of vectors, and then your game objects for the specific tiles that you would put at those vectors. And then you could make a bunch of assets of that to make your levels.
Yeah, it's just the structure of the framework that holds a bunch of that common information together. A scriptable object, a brick, could be a good scriptable object, and from that I generate a 1 HP brick or a 5 HP brick, something like that.
Yeah, you could do that. And then you could have, like, the sprite, the hitbox, references to whatever you need to make the brick as a scriptable object, and then you'd have some sort of class that instantiates based off of that data. Yeah, you could have that. Or you have the basic prefab, and then when you instantiate it, you read from the scriptable object data to set the parameters. Or,
Just completely, you know what? I'm going to get rid of game info completely. Just go away. You didn't ever exist. Okay. Add component, new script, game info. I still can't believe I was listening to you about scriptable objects. Who cares? Just kidding. Just
They're
kidding.
super useful, I swear.
Get rid of all this crap. Okay. So this is where it was getting confusing for me, because I did something very similar to this. I had a game, just an empty game object. And then the ball what I ended up doing, or either the brick or the ball, is I created a game object that was a public one. It could be a serialized field too, and just say game info. And so then once I came to a brick, I would drag in this game info into here and it would keep track of it. Is that the way that the brick would then access or have access to the game infos, add value, add score, do whatever?
Yep. Yeah, you could do that.
So you would have to do it for every single brick.
I mean, you could. You could also you could just make it static.
Make what static? Make the game info static?
Reference, so that it... Well, okay. So...
The reference, yeah, it could be static because it's never going to change.
From the brick? What would you call from the brick?
When I'm turning the brick off, I want to say game info dot add score or...
Okay, so what you could do is you could have their game info be a singleton with the static reference to its instance.
Mm-hmm. And how do I do that in C++? C Sharp.
Oh, okay. So in the game info class,
mm-hmm.
you would basically check to see if another game info class exists, and then if it does, then you would delete the current game object.
Delete? Singletons usually use whatever one already exists.
Yeah. So you're checking to see if... Well, because... Okay, so you could have, like, a singleton on this scene, right? And you might have that same singleton on another scene, just for testing purposes. But then when you actually play the game, you'll have your singleton, and then when you move on to the next level, the other singleton should remove itself while keeping the current singleton. But anyway, you would have it set itself to a static instance.
So every time I've done singletons, I've had an initializer as a separate class that will deal with creating and checking to see if this object already exists rather than the object doing it itself.
Okay. Normally, when we've done singletons, it's just on the class itself.
Okay. Tell me what to type. Let's do it. Go.
Okay, where are you? Yeah, so you would do void awake.
Okay.
Yeah, so awake is called before start. So all of the game objects awake functions are called before all of the game objects start functions. So awake, oh, it's capital, by the way.
Okay. See, this would have been good to know. See, I know about start and update because those are just defaulted there with the mono behavior classes.
Oh,
but what are the other? No, I didn't know about awake.
Okay, well, I sent you the link last week.
Yeah, I didn't look at any of that.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Blue.
Fine. It's fine. It probably makes more sense to like learn about the individual as we need them.
So this is saying I'm waking up, I'm creating this class, and you're saying...
Yep, so here's where you would set this. You would set, so you'd have a static, you'd have a variable static game info.
Inside the awake?
You would check to see if it's null, you know. If it's null, this is that instance. Otherwise, destroy this game object, because we don't need multiple.
So just a Boolean flag that says...
No. A static game info. And
inside a game info class?
Yeah, and then you would call it like instance.
Get instant? Wait.
Well, by convention, we normally call it instance. So you would be like game info dot instance, and then dot whatever function you need.
Wait,
I'm sorry if this is like all
you-
blasphemous.
you name
compared
it.
to how
You
code.
name the static game info instance.
Yeah, by convention usually.
And then what'd you say you call instance dot what?
Oh no, I was saying for usage. So if you want to use, so like on your brick class, you would say game info dot instance dot whatever function you.
So does this
Okay,
need to
but
be
anyway, in the awake,
public static?
you're checking if instance is null.
Just like
Because if it
JavaScript
is
where you
null,
can just
then this object becomes that instance. Otherwise, it's not null. There already exists a game info. Delete this object. And
so
obviously, there's like a bajillion ways to do this, but this is like the simplest way.
so if the instance
Do this
doesn't
again.
exist, so do you have to do a null check on it, or is it just like
No, yeah,
JavaScript
do a
where you
null
just do a simple not?
No, do a null check.
Is there an is null? No. Equals. So if the instance is null, it hasn't been created yet.
Yeah.
Or-
So this object, this current game object, will be set to that instance.
No idea what you mean. This object will be set to the current instance.
So
So
instance set to this.
I see.
So yeah, the other way of what you put. Yeah.
Okay. You're saying this instance, and my mind just goes this. But I see. So you
Yeah.
keep track. Okay, and then
Instance is set to
instance.
And then else destroy game object. And then this is obviously like the most simple version.
Yeah. That's all we need. Or do you just hand it this?
Oh, it's just
Object dot
destroy.
destroy.
No, it's just capital destroy, and then game object.
Gotcha.
Because game object is the game object that this script is attached to.
See, this is where it's like, yeah, I just got to go through a bunch of Googling and figure out exactly the nomenclature and everything else that you would use in Unity. Because
Oh, okay. Well.
C++ is just simple.
I don't
If you
think
really
that
want...
is your thing. Basically, you know, if something exists in the scene, it's a game object, right?
Well, I'm talking
And all
about
the
like var, auto...
attached object. So what you want to destroy is not the component attached to a game object, but you want to destroy the game. So that's why you destroy game object, because any mono behavior where you're referencing lowercase game object, that's just the game object that script is attached to.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, anyway, destroy game object, not instance.
Destroy game object.
Yeah, lowercase game object, because that's just a reference to the game object that your script is currently
So we're-
attached to.
So if we already have an instance, if we already have an instance, then we're destroying this because there's already a game info instance out there in the world.
Yeah.
So I see. Okay, it has finally clicked. This feels weird, but I
Yeah,
understand.
I'm sorry.
It's-
I'm sorry if it's not how you guys do it. I
That's
assume
okay.
you guys are like a lot more professional and fancy in the like application space.
Well, like I said, like I come from a world where we have a standalone application that's big, massive. And we have all of our coding standards that we get from Microsoft C++ coding standards. And we just don't do stuff like this where you have a weird case where you can create multiple infinite number of instances of a game object, and so you've got to keep track of the one. So usually you have something else, some other thing that keeps track of whether or not you have a singleton created, and then it will just use that, and if you don't have one, then it will create one and do it, and then you just deal with this singleton manager.
Yeah, you could still do that. It's just that this is the simplest way.
But yeah,
in Unity.
It's one of the... I am the type of person that I've got to get my fingers in there and get dirty in order to understand things. So once you said, no, it's not instance, it's game object, then it made sense as to, okay, when you add a new game object and it's instantiated, we don't want 10 different copies of game objects because we have 10 different bricks that use a game object. So we just kill them all and we have the one. And the only reason why that makes sense is because what you said last week, where basically you just find game objects based upon their name, which means that you can only have one game object with that name at one point in time. So you've got to get rid of any other possible duplicates and make sure you have just the one.
I'm glad it's starting to make sense. I'm not fully confusing you.
Like, I've known all along that I'm capable of doing this. I've just got to get my mind shifted to think the way Unity developers think. Okay, so now
okay, so you don't need the reference anymore at all.
Because you're just gonna get...
Because you're just gonna call the class .instance.
Call the class.
So capital game info .instance. And then whatever function you need from there.
Okay, now I have to go back here. Because this is a public class and this static variable is public. Okay. Okay.
Oh, you don't need to make the static variable public. Or yeah, never mind. It has to be public.
How else will it see it? Okay. So now every time a brick goes away, we add the brick value to our score. Okay.
Okay, so I see you're doing it on the collision.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, you might want it on whenever you destroy the game object. Because right now, it'll add your score every time it's hit, right? I'm not sure if that's intended or not.
Only when HP is 0, then I get rid of my object.
Oh, okay. If HP. Okay. I just saw the on collision enter key, and then you were doing it.
Come on. Oh, my goodness. Can't you even read code, Blue?
I'm so bad at this.
Let's see.
Statements are hard. Alright, decrement. Yeah, HP.
Yeah. So, and I did this in a generic way, so if I decided to change HP to 5, then it would decrement and just handle it.
Yep. It would work out well.
Okay, so we've added brick score. Now we have in the ball script, if we... Ball reset is called from the depth script.
Oh yeah, I mentioned this in the comment last week, or in your video. But okay, so wouldn't the ball technically always travel the same path, assuming you don't die?
What do you mean? Are you talking about...
It starts with some vector, right?
Yes.
So wouldn't it always travel the same path?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
What's your point?
I was just wondering, I was like, technically the only skill would be keeping it alive.
Yes. Well, that's where...
are you going to have it where it gets faster over time or something?
That was kind of my idea, but that gets into the realm of you can't just say, okay, speed plus equals 1, because you have to deal with the speed in regards to the velocity in the two-dimensional space. So you've got to tell which direction it's going, whether the x is going up or down, and then add 1 or minus 1 based upon that. And then you have to know whether y is going left or right, and then you have to add 1 or minus 1 depending upon that in order to actually make your ball go faster, right?
Well, Unity has a ton of functions, built-in physics.
Of course they do.
do.
Of course they do. Okay. Yeah, this is...
Okay, so I've been trying to learn quaternions.
Uh-huh.
And they're, like, Unity auto-implements the quaternions. It's, like, pretty difficult for me to wrap my head around. Because it's basically using, like, 4-dimensional space to avoid gimbal lock. So, like, if you have the normal 3-vector axes,
vector 3, yeah.
like the X, Y, Z, you can run into a situation called gimbal lock, which is where when the numbers start getting pretty high, it, like, the actual rotation of the object becomes imprecise, and it kind of locks up into a rotation.
Can't you just freeze the rotation?
Well, yeah. I just mean, like, Unity uses quaternions for its rotation. So even if it presents you XYZ, that's just an abstraction of the actual how it represents how it represents its rotation under the hood. Like, they implement all that, which is really nice. I like that part. I like all of the auto-implemented stuff.
Yeah, basically, for me at this point, 3/4 of programming in Unity is getting used to their API and knowing what functions to call. At least that's what I feel like it would be.
It's a big engine with, like, a long history.
It's been around for 15 years.
There's a lot. There's probably a lot to pick up. I mean, yeah, I don't know everything. There's so much I don't know.
So
that's why I'm always trying to, like, study.
In Breakout games that I've always played, it always starts in the same location, and it always goes off in the same trajectory. But then, like you mentioned last week, depending upon where the ball hits on the paddle, it may change the trajectory of where it goes off again.
Yeah, that's the one I've played. Because, like, if you hit it in the middle, then the ball will go straight. But if you hit the edges, because I remember you could actually have a lot of control over the angle of the ball.
But that feels hard.
So I didn't know if you were going to implement that or anything.
That feels hard. That's like maths, and I did take linear algebra, and I have taken several higher math levels.
20 years ago.
20 years? How old do you think I am? Oh.
I think you're like mid-40s.
I took... I turned 38 this month.
Oh, okay.
So
I was only off by like 7 years.
Yeah, only.
That's not that long.
Oh, snap. Did Domino's old? No, not that old. Still young, under 40. Of course, how old you are and how old you feel depends upon how old you actually are compared to how old other people are to you, if that makes any sense. Anyways, I took linear algebra, 2006, so that would have been about 15 years ago. But yeah, I've taken Calc 2, Calc 3, statistics, linear algebra, all the crap to get a CS degree, and I hated every minute of it. I am not a math person. So, okay.
I don't know. I'm starting to fall back in love with math.
Are you? Oh.
Yeah, because I'm just, like, personally studying.
I'm gonna let you deal with all this crap. Oh, I should also say I also took machine learning, which the year before I took machine learning, it was a theoretical class, and the year I took it, it was a new professor, and it was all math based. And I got a 32 on my midterm. And I was like, oh no, it's my last semester before I graduate. I'm not going to graduate. Oh, what are we going to do? Because I was already getting a job offer. I was already, out trying to get a job, told the Mary Student Housing that we were leaving, all this stuff. And I got a 32 on the midterm, and I was like, oh no. So I went and talked to the professor, and he's like, just go ahead. Is there a way that I can earn extra credit? I can do extra work, do something else to bring up my grade. And he's like, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and keep working on the assignments. Do what you can. And
Did he curve?
He must have, because I don't know what score I got on my final, but I ended up with like a B in that class. I think he just made it way too hard. But we sat there for an hour 3 times a week, just doing all the equations and working through the equations for the machine learning. And it, like, you know, after a while of having stuff just slammed at you, you finally start picking some things up. But, oh my goodness, that was so much math. I hated it. Proofs?
Yeah, we had our computer systems class was like designed to weed people out, essentially. What the TA said. And people were getting destroyed. It was rough.
Are you sure you want to be here?
One person actually got above 100% in the class because of curves.
Oh my goodness.
They did really well on all the tests, but because the average was so low, when it was bumped up, they had above 100% in the class. It was nuts.
That is crazy. Good for him. Okay, I don't think we actually need reset lives, because if you're dead, this was probably just...
Yeah, it'll just shoot you to some other scene, and from that scene you enter this scene, yeah.
Yeah. If lives equals 0, you lost. And I should have done comments in front. Having children makes you age by 1.25 per child.
I feel like having children probably makes you age... Well, I don't know. I guess it depends on how much of the brunt of the raising of the children you do. I feel like it'd make you age more than that.
Are you saying that women, stay-at-home moms, age faster than dads who go to work?
Alright, that's a good point. I don't think they do.
I have no say in
general,
this. This is I am not saying any of this. None of this is going to be recorded from me saying any of this, and they still live longer. Yes, Red.
Well, women have longer lifespans. I know there was a study where stay-at-home dads suffer from like more heart problems, essentially.
Like in Japan, where they have the problem of guys just dying, having heart attacks at the desk.
Oh no, that's like a whole separate thing. I just mean like single dads versus single dads have worse health outcomes. The heart. Oh, Japan is crazy with the work thing.
Okay. We're going to create a 2D object. And no, we're going to create a... I want to create a Text Mesh Pro 2D. Right? It's time to put some things on the screen. The score and lives. Power of not having natural steroids.
Sorry, I was typing in chat. I don't know what you're saying. You don't need me, do you?
Yes I do. How do I put information on the screen?
Let's see.
It's a Text Mesh Pro, right?
Okay.
How do I put...
What do you want to make?
I want something on the screen so that anytime this game info gets updated with the score or lives lost...
okay. So right-click in the hierarchy, and then you would want to create a UI text object, I assume. Just a simple text to hold the score.
What's the difference between the text and Text Mesh Pro?
So Text Mesh Pro, before it was what's it called? So it was like an external asset that you could download from the Unity store, but then Unity, like, I think they like bought it or something. I don't know.
Just bought it and integrated?
Like integrated now.
So, which is better?
It gives you a ton of features when it comes to text, essentially. So you probably just want to do regular text.
Because I won't need extra features? Okay.
Well, it gives like outlines, and it gives like way too many features to name. But yeah, for this you probably just want a simple text, because you don't want to have to fuddle around with a bunch of other things.
Where is it? Does it not exist? Is it not an object that I drag?
Yeah, with it clicked, just hit F. So it'll zoom out because it'll zoom out because it's under a canvas for the UI, which is separate from world space. Okay, so you know how world space is like one unit is approximately 1 meter.
Uh-huh.
When you go to like canvases and things, one unit becomes 1 pixel, technically. So that's why it zooms out a ton. Is because they have both of the stuff in the same thing. But so all your canvas and UI will be like really, really huge compared to your like game objects and things. But that's just because they're using like the same space
They're still using
to
units,
represent them.
but the units represent different sizes.
Yeah. Exactly.
So is this a different? Like, is this represented in a different way? Because I don't see any of my objects anymore, right?
Well, no, your objects are just small. So you would just zoom in a ton to see your objects. And they're going to be in that lower left. Yeah. That's the only reason why you don't see your objects. It's because they're really small compared to your UI.
Why is it so far away?
Oh, well, I just explained. Like, so if
Yeah.
you have like a 700 pixel width, right?
But it doesn't. Oh, this is so
Then
weird.
that would be 700 in your little scene view. Whereas when you go to your game view, nothing you have is going to be like 700 meters. So that's why there's such a huge disparity in the size.
But doesn't that seem weird, like from a Unity developer point of view, to have something here and then just make a new object and have it? Like, wouldn't they do any kind of conversion to try and put it in same relative space?
I don't know. I feel like you just get used to it. I feel like they could have like converted something somewhere like, oh, 1 unit then is like 100 pixels or something, right?
Uh-huh.
And it'd be like that. Oh, no. Okay. So you don't have to move your game object into, because okay, your game object, or not your game object,
The
your
text.
object doesn't exist in game space. It exists in the canvas space. So right now you have it off of the canvas, right?
Okay.
So if you go to your canvas, there will be a setting for how it displays. So UI scale mode and render mode, those are 2 important things. So screen space overlay means that it'll be overlaid within the screen space.
So what does the
So if you put your text in the lower left corner of the canvas,
then it would
then
show
it'll
up.
appear in the lower left screen space. Yeah. But if you want, you can change your canvas to exist in world space, and then you could do what you were trying to do. But generally, you don't put it in game space, like in world space to do that.
Uh-oh.
To do what you're trying to do, I guess.
So I need this in canvas. So if this is in the lower left of canvas.
Yeah, okay, so that box, the canvas, that represents your entire screen space.
And
Does that
I've
make
already I feel like I probably just need to delete this and start over, eh?
You could, yeah, if you want.
Arena UI text. So I do want to move this down. Oops.
Yeah, okay, and you see that like crosshair looking thing that says middle center?
There. Or are you talking here?
Under rect transform? Yeah, usually you use that to quickly place it, and then you can offset by pixels. So see how it says, so you can set the position with Alt, and then so holding Shift, you can also set the pivot.
I don't understand. Okay, so everything goes in the bottom, or I don't understand the difference between the pivot and the position.
Okay, so the pivot is so if you were to rotate your object,
Mm-hmm.
it would rotate about that pivot.
But I'm not going to rotate. I understand
but
if you're
you can
doing
also
some
use
interesting UI stuff.
Okay, but that's also where it'll have the position. So it offsets from the pivot as well, your position. So in some cases, it might make more sense to have the pivot, in the corner, because you're like, okay, I always want this text element to be 15 pixels from the left corner, and then 15 from the bottom edge.
And where do you
So
set
you'd
the
have
offset?
your pivot, something like that.
You were talking about setting the offset. So you set sort of an anchor point, and then you can do the offset. Where do you do that?
Yeah.
Is that just here? Is this the
And
offset?
then, okay, and then it gets even more complicated. with the anchors work based on percentage. So let's say, because in Unity you typically want to target multiple resolutions and aspect ratios.
Well, it should have to do percentage because your unit is completely different.
The anchors work by percentage, but all your other numbers at the top are going to be pixel based. So through that combination, that's how you handle multiple aspect ratios and sizes.
Okay, so if I wanted this,
also just hardwire different.
If I wanted this
UIs.
10% off the bottom, how do I change that? What do I change?
Yeah, so if you wanted it, so the min would be 0, and then the max Y, because you're talking about vertical, would be 0.1. Because 1 would represent 100%, 0.1 represents 10%. So 10%, so that'll be 10% high. And you currently have negative 30 pixels from the top.
Uh-huh.
Just because it's holding the same relative size from what you had before. So if you change that to 0.
Okay. Do I need to... What happens if this max horizontally is at 0? Will it...
Then your object will no longer scale with screen width, but it'll scale with screen height.
Because we have the 0.1.
So currently your UI object, it'll take up 10% height and then 10% of the width. It'll exist in that space.
And if you had it 0, it would just always be...
The width will be 10% plus 160 pixels. Because you have the 160 there. From the right.
So this is just saying it will always be 160 pixels regardless of what your screen size is.
Yes.
So
and your anchors are percentage. So
wouldn't you always just do percentage then if you're dealing with things where you have to deal with multiple size screens? Wouldn't you always do percentage?
Not always, because like if you have a ultra wide screen, you don't want to stretch. Sometimes you don't want to stretch your elements out. You just want them 320 pixels wide.
Because if you stretch them, then they start looking weird.
Based on like an ultra wide or something.
Okay. There's a lot of stuff to tinker around with and think about. Okay, and then we just have text.
Yep, and then you just have text. Very simple. Yeah, if you're using Text Mesh Pro, you'd have to create a texture. And then if you wanted to use a custom font, you'd have to create a font asset. And yeah, it gets complicated.
So it has a lot more things to it, a lot more functionality, but it also the setup is increased as well.
Yeah, it naturally makes it more complicated to set up. Yeah.
How do you know when you need to stop and see if the code works, or can you even until you have all of the pieces in place? This is something that you get with practice, that you can kind of build things. Like when you come up with the design, you can build it in such a way that you have small pieces that you get working, and then you build another piece upon that, and then it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger, and that way you can test it
slowly,
without having to do it all or nothing. If you and I do this all the time still, accidentally. If you do all or nothing, then you have a bug and you have no idea where it is in your code, and you're starting to rip out things that you did all the way back to 2 months ago, and then you're like, I have no idea what I've done, and then you just revert from whatever you have in the code repo, code repository. Is that just what it calls? Get SV. Anyways, you revert back to a starting point, and you've lost all that work, and then you start bringing in small things. Like, it's just a pain. But as you get better, you can start to break the design into parts where you can say, if I do this part first, then I can test it independently and then start adding things to it. So, okay, so I have a text. So now I need to, if I'm adding score, I need to look for that object under text. Is that right?
You could just have it as a reference.
Okay.
Because you're going to assume that you'll add the score a lot, so it wouldn't make sense to keep finding it. You may as well just have the reference for that.
Is this just a text object? What is the object? Or just game object?
It'd be,
But then you'd have to cast it if it's a game object.
I think it's UI.text. I'm not 100% sure. And then you have to use using Unity.
Oh, that's
UI.
why.
Unity engine.ui, I believe. Yep. Oh yeah, sorry. Unity engine.ui.
Yeah, I'm getting there. And then you're saying UI. Still not seeing a UI text. Oh, there's just a text object.
Just text? Okay, cool.
Yeah. And this is going to be
Yeah, I'm used to Text Mesh Pro where it's
a little bit more convoluted. Okay, so now in save, come back here. I'll pop up a thing here. I can drag this here. And now I have a text object, and I can say text dot text equals.
Yep.
Yeah,
that trips up a lot of people. If they'll name something text, it's like text.text. I don't get it.
Text. What is the UI? Oh.
Alright, what are you trying to do?
I'm renaming the text, but I've never seen this dialogue before.
Oh
but
yeah.
What am I renaming it to? Okay.
Well, no, you just type in the new name and then hit enter.
Text object. So normally I'm used to there being a text box here that shows you text and then you type it. I have not used 2019 yet.
Oh, okay.
We're still on 2017 at work. And that's why I was just confused. I expected to act in a very certain way that I'm used to, and it did not.
And it didn't. Yeah, when they changed stuff, yeah.
Lives, and then we're just going to keep it simple. And then we're going to do score. And if I was being a good example, I'd probably pull this out into a separate method because that's a pure
yeah,
duplication.
And then you probably also have to use like string builder or whatever.
No. Who cares about that?
Okay, never mind.
Just kidding. Okay. Let's see. And nothing showing up. Where's my UI? See, this is the problem that I was running into, is that you get into a weird state
okay,
where...
so you can hit pause. The pause button.
And
now
you can see the text is over on the canvas.
Yeah, just hit text and then press F.
Nothing. F.
Oh, okay. So see that error? You never set the instance. You never set the reference to that text object on your game info.
No, I did.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I dragged it.
Oh, okay. Let's
Did
check
it-
to make sure.
it-
I'm not sure.
For some reason, it went away.
It says none. It says you didn't.
Yeah, I did it. I dragged it over.
I don't know.
Oh,
It
look.
says otherwise. All right, and there it is. Okay, so a simple fix. Go to text, and then you would just do best fit, which would scale the text size to how much space it has.
You said best fit. I have no idea where that is.
Oh, it's right there. Oh, okay, never. It's under text. Yeah, it's one of the little check boxes
Best
under
fit.
the text component of that game object.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, and that'll just auto size it pretty simply based on how much space it has.
Okay. So now we need to do what looks like. Oh, come on. We need to do a shift to the right. So we need to kill this, go to our text object, and then we need to do. Why is it here instead of the bottom corner again?
Oh, it's because you changed the anchors. Remember, you wanted 10%. So you would do left. You probably want like some amount of pixels on the left side.
Yeah. And that's going to be the left. How thick is that? Is there like a distance tool that you can see exactly how big things are?
Distance tool to see how big things are.
Yeah, so I can click distance and then go here to here and then go, that's so many units.
Probably as like probably in the store. Not as a built-in thing.
Copy, paste.
Someone maybe made that.
That's okay. I know how to MacGyver it.
Yeah, just eyeball it.
And then we want to resize. Oh, stupid thing. Sure.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
So
That is a MacGyver.
0.333. Let's just do 0.5. Okay, text. Pen 0.5. Good night, girls. Love you too.
Okay, but 0.5 in the anchor would be percentage. So 0.5 is 50%.
Because the min is a percentage.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I didn't want
probably-
it on the min. I want it on the left.
Yeah.
That's what we talked about. It's like, this is ridiculous.
But also, okay, 0.5 pixels. So that's pixels. You were using game space, like world space. So you got 0.5
Oh
meters,
my goodness.
but that's not pixels.
This
Yeah,
is
see, I tried to explain it in the beginning so that this stuff wouldn't happen, but yeah.
no. You did horrible.
I
Just kidding.
failed you.
You did nothing
I
horrible.
failed you. I tried to save the trouble, but it didn't work.
What I say? I need to get my hands dirty in order to actually understand what the crap is going on. Okay. And then we're just going to show text. So that way it's appearing as soon as we start. Okay, so how do I know what the offset is?
So you can actually just go to your text object and just eyeball it and just move, literally just move it over. So if you go to the corner, so okay, click the game tab Or actually, put in some sort of text into your text first so that we can see it. Just put
Oh.
yeah, yep. And
I
then,
see.
so at the top in the inspector, you can click on hold, drag left on the little word left. And you can drag it. Yeah, there we go. Like that. And because it's under best fit, the size is changing to fit within the bounds. Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, see, this all of this stuff is more like designer stuff.
Semicolon. Oh my goodness.
Neither of us are artists.
No.
Very artistic, so it's all just gonna be ugly UI.
So now I even need to make it wider because the score is even wrapped. I like how I start out with 0 lives.
It to not wrap. You could force it to overflow.
So the text
But
object.
it also kind of worked out perfectly to where you had lives on one line and the score on another. Worked out.
Yeah, we'll just leave it, and then we gotta change the color to something bright and cheery, right? There we go. Sure, that looks bright and cheery. Oh, and then the lives. That was the on the game info. On start, lives, starting lives. So that way it'll start with 5. Who puts gray text on the blue background? Jerks. There we go, we fixed it. So, we're getting there. We are 1 day away from having the most generic, crappy brick setting game.
Oh, I can't believe you died there.
I did it on purpose
because on purpose for testing purposes.
Because otherwise it would have just gone vertical. So that's the problem. If you don't do the paddle to where, depending upon where you hit it on the paddle, it adjusts the angle, then you do get weird instances where it hits something at a weird angle and then just goes horizontally or just goes vertically, and it never resets itself.
Hey, it looks like your lives aren't updating properly.
Yep. That's okay. Death occurred. Death script. Oh, it's because we don't show text. So if I died.
Oh, okay. It wasn't called. Okay. It wasn't updating.
Basically, I killed a brick and then it updated it to show my actual life. And that was it. So. Okay. Well, that feels like a good place to just let it die.
Let it.
No. Trigger was hit. We did that. Yeah, so we have dynamic placing of bricks. We can make them random. You know, we're talking about Rogue Dungeon. Why not have the bricks random? Just place them all over, including like right in front of the paddle.
Wherever.
Not artist
well,
too.
You could make a list of scriptables that have patterns, and then you'd have a random set of patterns in there.
That's true.
So that they would at least look like intentional.
That would choose one of the 20 design. But the thing I don't like about that is then it's like you got to get a pixel perfect. You got to make it look pretty, and I just don't do that. I guess it doesn't have to be. It could be 32 slaptastic whatever. Yeah, okay. So what else do we have to do? We did the text. So we have dialogues. So when you die or when you're first brought into the scene, we should pop up a dialogue that says, good luck, hit space to start or something. You hit the space, dialogue goes away, and the ball starts moving. Okay.
All right.
That's what we have to look forward to. If I have some time, I'll work on block placement and crap like that. But I think that's...
I don't know. I think it looks very nice right now. It's got that...
It's very
I don't know
simple.
what you call it. The offset?
Oh, yeah. It's just a quick eyeball.
Looking pattern thing.
So we showed lives basically for all intents and purposes of what we're doing here. So we have dynamic block placement or predefined randomly chosen, and then we also talked about speeding ball up, changing trajectory based on paddle hit, and then we'll do that. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to work on next week. Yay! Blue, thank you. I believe in Dictamino. That may be too soon.
Sorry for all the confusion.
No. Thank you for sticking with me while I am being completely and utterly dense regarding this.
No, this is kind of interesting, like just seeing like, oh, you know, you're used to this way, and then so like a lot of this stuff is normal to me. So when you're like, why do they do it like this? I'm like, oh, I don't.
Because you do?
Yeah, it's just been, yeah, it's how we do it.
Okay.
Kind of interesting.
Blue, I will see you on Heroes of the Storm. I'm assuming that you're going to be joining.
Yeah. I'll play healer this week.
Oh,
That
whatever.
way, maybe you guys can play heroes that you'll actually win with.
Okay, I'll see you over there. For you watching on the video after the fact on YouTube, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're learning along with me some of the cool things that somebody from the industry, I guess Blue has actually did some independent game development, which is kind of cool. I hope you enjoyed learning along with me. Until next time, feel free to watch some of my other videos, and as always, make sure you're having yourself a wonderful day. If you have any questions for Blue, write them in the comments and I'll pass them along. Okay, bye guys.